Have you ever felt like you've been walking on eggshells with the people you care about? Today, we're going to talk about how to work on that. My name is Melody Stanford Martin. I'm the author of this book, Brave Talk Building Resilient Relationships in the Face of Conflict. I wrote my book after experiencing conflict and impasse with people I love over a long period of time. And I wanted to teach some of the things that I've learned in my struggle, in my journey to build what I call and what other practitioners call resilient relationships. What the heck is a resilient relationship and why do you need it? If you think about eggshells as a fragile relationship, you don't know if you can tell the truth. You don't know if you can say hard things. And every time you do, you feel the cracks forming in that eggshell. You don't know if you can have conflict with someone and the relationship stay intact. That's a fragile relationship. That's what we want to get away from. A resilient relationship is stretchy like a rubber band. It doesn't crack. It says, oh, we're going to tell the truth, and then we're going to come back together. Oh, we're going to have hard conversations and have conflict, but then we still care about each other and we want to be kind to each other. So we're going to come back together slowly. Okay. Resilient relationships can stretch without breaking. That's a resilient relationship. In my work, and I consult and coach for people in many different walks of life around conflict and communications. And in my work, what I have seen is there are 5 practices of resilient relationships, rubber band relationships. If you want to stop walking on eggshells, this might help you. The first practice is showing up. You can't have a resilient relationship if you're avoiding that person and running away and not spending time with them. So the first thing you want to focus on doing is being intentional about your time, being intentional about saying, hey, let's get together. Hey, let's have this conversation. I'm going to stop running away. I'm going to stop hiding. I'm going to show up and I'm going to just be there. I'm going to let my presence be. And I'm going to invite you into showing up for me. It's really easy today to defriend people, to cut people out of our lives when we disagree with them. And let me give a huge caveat here. Sometimes that needs to be done. Sometimes people are so toxic and unhealthy for us that it's not healthy or right for us to stay in a close relationship with them. We might still care about them, but we don't let them into our inner lives. We don't let them see everything about us. Doesn't matter if that's a parent, family member, best friend, it doesn't matter. The first rule of this is that no one is obligated to be in a relationship with anybody. Maybe unless you're a parent to a child. Unless you have a child, you are legally and morally obligated to take care of that child. Hold on, I'm getting a call. But for the most part, we are allowed to decide who we're going to be in relationship with. My point is this: if you decided that you want this person in your life and you want to have a relationship with them, you've got to show up. You've got to show up. Resilient relationships don't happen by accident. They're not magic. They're not like instant coffee. You can just like add a little small talk and alakazam, there they are. That's a resilient relationship. You've done it. Congratulations. The thing is, it's really easy to get along with people who we don't have any disagreement or conflict with. That's easy. That's not a resilient relationship. I mean, it might be, but resilient relationships are forged in hard times when we have conflict with somebody. That's the only way you can know. That's the only way you can know if your relationship is resilient, is if you put it to the test. That's the only way you can know. Is it going to stretch or is it going to crack? Showing up. Number 2, seeing and being seen. Seeing and being seen. What do I mean by that? I want you to think back to the last time you talked to someone who really saw you. I'm going to tear up just thinking about it because it's a really powerful experience. When you sit down with someone who really sees you, who really is making a deep inquiry into who you are and validating you as a human being before anything else, I'm going to see you. So this involves a lot of leadership. You know, sometimes we can't wait for someone else to see us like that. We've got to take the initiative and say, I'm going to see you. Even if I disagree with you, I'm going to try to see your humanity. I'm going to validate your humanity. Even if you don't validate your own humanity or my humanity, I'm going to say, you are a human being Therefore, you matter. I'm going to try to understand your beliefs and fears, even if I don't agree with them. I'm going to try to see you. And I'm going to invite you to see me. I'm going to let myself be seen. That requires vulnerability. It's really easy to yell at someone and say, oh, you're wrong because blah, 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 and debate with them. It's a much harder thing to say, you know, this is my experience in the world. This is what I've been through. This is what has shaped my beliefs and my fears. That takes a lot more courage, I think, than just arguing on an intellectual level. To be seen, to let someone see us, that doesn't mean you don't have boundaries. It means that you're willing to speak from your own experience. So seeing and being seen, number 2. Number 3, resilient relationships share power. Sharing power is a hard idea to grasp, but we all know most of us know what it's been like to be in a situation where people weren't sharing power. If you were in a relationship or a conversation where you weren't allowed to talk, you were being talked over, where your voice wasn't being taken seriously, where you felt edged out, that you didn't have a seat at the table, that you were being invalidated in the things you say or silenced, that means that someone was hoarding power and not sharing power with you. So in order to share power, both parties or all parties need to have an equal voice and equal seat. Okay. And those of us who have louder voices and who have possibly more privilege, or who maybe have just a bigger personality, a bigger presence, we need to understand that we cannot control or force other people to agree with us. We've got to learn to share space and not take up quite so much space so that other people can have space in the room. I don't mean literal space, I mean figurative space. We've got to say, we can argue passionately and articulately for what we believe in. We can have very strong opinions, but we need to stop short of trying to control each other or force each other or manipulate each other to agree, because it undermines our credibility and it erodes trust that person has for us. And sometimes it's downright hypocritical for us to yell and scream about something, but in our yelling and screaming, we're exerting force or control that goes directly against the message we're trying to get across. Okay, so sharing power. Are you sharing power in your relationship? Number 4, disagreeing well. Healthy disagreement is not something you see often in the world. This is not a skill that a lot of us develop very well. Healthy disagreement means a lot of things. It means a lot of things. What it doesn't mean is just senseless or overly intellectual debate. What it doesn't mean is trying to control or dominate each other or force each other to agree. What it does mean is having a spirit of gratitude. In other words, thank you for talking to me. Thank you for this conversation. Thank you for keeping this non-heated, you might call it civil. Thank you for taking the time, because you could have yelled at me, you could have walked away, but you didn't. You're here talking to me, and this is awkward as heck. This is uncomfortable. This is bringing up a lot of hard emotions for me, but we're here and we're doing it. That's awesome. Okay? We're stretching for each other. Oh, this is uncomfortable. This is awkward to stretch for each other, but when you do it and you see it done well, and you see people who have wildly different perspectives on something disagree well, it is like the most incredible experience when people can still practice kindness and empathy and humility and humanity while disagreeing. It's a really magical thing that happens. It's a gift, is what I like to say. It's a gift when someone disagrees well with us, because again, they could have yelled at us, they could have ignored us, they could have blocked us, but here they are slugging it out so that we can have a resilient relationship. That is a gift. They're giving us a gift in that moment. So when we disagree well, we are working our muscles here. Disagreement. Okay, so disagreeing well is number 4. Number 5 is taking a break. I've been in situations where things get so hard and awkward and uncomfortable. You're always stretching, you're always out here, that you forget to have a relationship because you're always talking about having a relationship, or you're always working on the relationship. Sometimes we need to take breaks and go back to here. Relax, activate the parasympathetic rest and digest system so we get out of fight or flight mode. We lower antagonism. We remind each other why we care about each other. Why are we in this relationship? What does this relationship mean to us? What does this community mean to us? Okay. That might be something as simple as saying, we're going to set a timer for 20 minutes and talk about this hard and awful thing for 20 minutes. And then we're going to watch a movie and eat popcorn together. Because at the end of the day, our relationship is the most important thing here. So, showing up, seeing and being seen, sharing power, disagreeing well, taking breaks. For the last few minutes of this video, I'm going to just walk you through some questions you can ask yourself. If you are doing these things, this is how you can tell. Are you showing up? Okay. Have you been avoiding this person? You might be. Okay. Or are you being intentional about time with them? Are you asking to make time? Are you making time in your schedule? Are you making time in your heart, in your life for them? Are you showing up? Are you inviting them to show up? Or are you avoiding? I mean, it's natural. It's human nature for most of us to avoid things that are uncomfortable, things that are painful. That's how we survive as humans, is to avoid pain. But sometimes for the sake of the relationship, we need to lean in a little bit to that discomfort. And that's okay. As long as it's still emotionally safe, as long as you're not being actively harmed, it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to show up. It's okay to say, you might even say it like, wow, this is real awkward. I feel this. And you can break the ice a little bit, but show up, okay? Are you seeing and being seen? Are you so wrapped up in your own mind and your own thoughts that you're just not really seeing that person? I do this all the time, all the time. I get so caught up in here that I'm not really hearing, I'm not really tuned in to that other person, okay? And are you inviting them to see you? Are you being vulnerable, or are you shutting down? Sometimes you might need to shut down and walk away for a while. That's okay. But I think if we're going to be effective communicators in the world, we've got to let ourselves be vulnerable. We've got to tell our stories. Again, there are boundaries to this, but this is the overall general gist of it. Are you sharing power? Okay. Are you talking most of the time? Are your emotions considered possibly by both of you to be more important? Are you taking up more space in the room? Is that person getting adequate time to speak and be heard? Are you validating them? Are you saying, I understand that you said blah, 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 blah. Is that true? Are you sharing power? Really take a good look at yourself, because those of us who don't see this, who operate in taking up too much space, it's really hard for us to see when we're doing it because it's normal to us. You might even ask the person you're having this with, do you feel like you have enough space? Do you feel like you have enough of a voice? Do you feel like I take your voice seriously? Or do you feel like I'm steamrolling you? And invite them to be honest and say, you know what, please be honest with me. Please tell the truth. I'm going to try really hard not to get offended at whatever you say. Okay. I'm going to try to be this and not this to you. I'm not going to fracture. I'm not going to crumble. Number 4, disagreeing well. Okay. Are you having healthy disagreement? Are you practicing gratitude? Or are you just saying, you're wrong and stupid and I don't like you and you're dumb and I don't want to talk to you anymore? Are you walking away? Are you yelling? Or are you slugging it out and having these hard conversations and disagreeing in healthy ways? All right. Is the way you're disagreeing with someone building your relationship up, or is it tearing your relationship down? That's how you know. All right. And then you might find, number 5, that you need to take a break. Are you taking a break? Are you making time to do silly things that don't have anything to do with anything serious? Okay. It might seem really frivolous to talk about the weather or to talk about clothes or movies, but sometimes that's really necessary for us to recenter and remember why we're in the relationship in the first place. So are you taking a break? Are you remembering why you're a human being and why this person is meaningful to you in your life? That's okay. That's good. That's the way we make memories. That's the way we remind ourselves of what's meaningful to us, how we shape our identities, how we celebrate who we are together as a community. The last thing I'll leave you with is this. So what I study, what I specialize in is called social ethics. Social ethics, okay? I don't want to get all heady and academic, but social ethics, ethics is kind of the study of like making right decisions in the world. Social ethics is the art of right relationships. So think about the decisions we make, the words we speak, the ways we treat people impact how healthy our relationships are in the world. And all of these little tiny relationships around the world, all of our connected, this big old web of connection we have to each other, all of that makes up the health of our communities, the health of our families, the health of our social groups, the health of our countries, our world, right? The health of our world is boiled down to these tiny day-to-day interactions. When you choose to treat someone with kindness, with resilience, with courage, with leadership, you are contributing to the health of the world. You are helping to build a world that you want to live in. We all build the world that we all have to live in. And we build that world through the ways we treat each other and through the ways we treat ourselves. Thank you for watching this video. For more from me, please feel free to like and subscribe. I really appreciate the subscribe, and check out my book, Brave Talk, available wherever books are sold. My name is Melody Stanford Martin, and it has been an absolute pleasure to speak with you today. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.